The Cincinnati Bengals get desperate. Is Cade Klubnik back? The SEC and the Big Ten have some huge games this week. We talk about all that and more coming up next on the Draft Countdown Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Draft Countdown Show. I am your host, Brian Bosarge, and I'm here to tell you that we are 196 days away from the 2026 NFL Draft. That's right, folks. We are less than 200 days away, and I'm also here to tell you that for all discussions on football, not just football, but a whole lot more, join our Discord channel. You can click the link below in the body of this video. You can scan that handy QR code at the top left of the screen there, or you can go to draftcountdown.com. Top right corner of the search bar, there's a link to join the Discord. Come on in, folks. The water is fine. All right, lots of news to get to this week. And we must lead with the desperation of the Cincinnati Bengals. And anybody who watched the game against Detroit this past Sunday knew that Jake Browning's time as a starting quarterback was likely done. Apparently, Brett Rippon was not the man to fill the relief or put the relief in for that. So they had to go elsewhere. And that elsewhere was a trade with the Cleveland Browns. It was their first intra-division trade since the 70s. The Bengals acquired quarterback Joe Flacco from Cleveland. It's a pick swap in 26. Cleveland gets the Bengals' 5th-round pick. And the Bengals get a 6th-round pick from the Browns that belongs to the Detroit Lions, so it's probably going to be in the back end of the 6th round. And they get Flacco as well. But yeah, after that complete bed shitting that Browning had, there was no way they could trot him back out there. So much so that Flacco is going to start on Sunday. Man got in the building today, took all the first team reps in practice today. He will be your starting quarterback for the Bengals Sunday afternoon against the Green Bay Packers, a team that, hey, he technically has a win against already earlier this season with the Browns. So I don't know if this is good or not. I don't think it's going to end up going great, but they had to do something. And I'm frankly surprised they actually tried to do something. Reports out today, they did not reach out to the Giants to inquire about Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. They did not reach out to Atlanta about Kirk Cousins. I didn't think they would just because of the cost of that move would be. So they did hold conversations with Seattle, I believe, about Drew Lock, and with the Eagles about Sam Howell. So, but I guess none of those bore fruit. They thought that Flacco was the way to go. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm not expecting much, but the AFC is down. I don't think Pittsburgh is all that good despite them leading the division. So if Joe Flacco can even do anything remotely of note, keep them afloat until perhaps Joe Burrow can get back late in the season, Maybe the Bengals can make a run. I doubt it, but fingers crossed. Another trade on Tuesday, the Chargers are acquiring Ravens edge rusher Oweh, the former first-round pick, heads to LA along with a 2027 seventh-round pick. The Ravens get safety Aloha Gilman and a 2026 fifth-round pick. Oweh has never really developed. He had a lot of raw tools coming out of Penn State. Great athlete, but hasn't really developed as the top pass rusher that I believe that they maybe saw him as. But, fresh start. Chargers need some help. A lot of injuries on that front. So we'll see how that goes. Quick shout out, if for no other reason, to keep the streak alive and talk about our good buddy Mickey Loomis down in New Orleans. Saints hit quarterback Spencer Rattler, fifth-round pick last year, becomes the first Saints quarterback that they've drafted to pick up a win as a starter since Danny Werfel did it in 1998. Werfel was a fourth-round pick in 98, I think, or 96. I'm not sure. But anyway, Werfel was the last quarterback that they drafted that got a win as the Saints starting quarterback until Spencer Rattler last Sunday. So take that for what you will. And finally, some quick college football news that came out earlier today. Ollie Connolly reporting that Bill Belichick is discussing buyout options with North Carolina. It appears this experiment and overly weird situation seems like it's going to be coming to an end soon. So when it inevitably does, we'll talk about it again on the show. But yeah, that whole thing has just been a cluster from the start. All right, it's that time we look back at week 6 and the prospects in the games that we watched a week ago. And at least for this week and against those Tar Heels that we just spoke so glowingly about, we posed the question, is Cade Klubnik back? The quarterback for Clemson had a great week against North Carolina last week, 22 of 24, 254 yards and 4 touchdown passes. I don't know. He had a good game this past week, but man, he looked rough that first third of the season there. We'll see if he continues to stack performances on top of this. Maybe he can rehab himself just a little bit and get himself back in that conversation, because right now he still kind of fell off of it a little bit. I did not have him in my top 125 that I released last week. Best defensive performance I saw last week was in Miami's win over Florida State. Their edge rusher, we talk about Reuben Bain a lot, and for a good reason. He's great. But his tag team partner on the other side, Akeem Mesidor, sixth-year player, had 6 tackles, 5 solos off the edge, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack against the Noles last Saturday. Also in that Clemson game, notable performance from Antonio Williams, their wide receiver, potential first-round pick at the wideout position, 4 catches for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was also 1 of 1 for 75 yards and a touchdown pass in this game on a nice little trick play they hit very early in the game. It seems like every week Michigan running back Justice Haynes pops up on these conversations because he just keeps stacking great performances against Wisconsin, 19 carries for 117 and 2 touchdowns. And also in that Florida State game for Miami, Carson Beck continues to build on what he's done so far this season. 20 of 27 for 241 and 4 touchdowns. He's getting back in that first-round conversation, folks. It's just something we need to deal with. But something didn't click for him at Georgia last year. He got out of there. Seems he's much more confident now at Miami. And speaking of the Hurricanes, they've got a pair of linebackers that both are probably going to get drafted if they enter this class. Well, one of them has to. He's a 7th-year senior. But Mohamed Toure and their other linebacker, Wesley Basaint, combined for 14 tackles and 8 solo tackles in this game. They are all over the field for Miami, making plays in coverage, in the run game, just dominant performances week after week. If nothing else, these guys are going to be special team demons at the NFL level, but they have a shot to play linebacker there as well. All right, let's look ahead to week 7 now with our weekly prospect primer, where we get you primed on the prospects that we're looking forward to watching this week. And 6 games on the docket for us this week, and 3 in the Big Ten, 3 in the SEC. We're not delving out of the Big 2 this week because that's where the games are that we're focusing on. And that starts on Friday night, 8 p.m. on ESPN2. Rutgers is at Washington. We haven't watched Rutgers yet this season. They're going to fly cross country to Seattle for this one. They come into the game at 3-2 on the year. We've seen the Huskies a couple of times already, but this is our first look at the Scarlet Knights. Their quarterback, Ethan Kaliakmanis, is a solid UDFA type prospect at quarterback. Enters this game. He's completed 67% of his passes on the year for 1,399 yards. He's got 9 touchdowns to 2 picks. Kaliakmanis spreads it around a lot. Got 3 wide receivers all producing. That includes DT Sheffield. With that passing game of Rutgers, the focus or the player we're going to focus on for the Huskies is going to be their cornerback, Ephesians Presock. Has 15 tackles, 4 breakups on the year. He was at the bottom end of my top 100 last week. Solid cornerback prospect right now with a chance to get better or fall. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll get to see Takario Davis, the other corner for Washington. We have yet to see him in the games we've watched this year. Moving on to the Saturday slate, 11 a.m. on ABC. Sneaky big game here with playoff implications. Alabama at Missouri, which we have to beg this question now. Did Penn State keep the wrong quarterback? Because during the playoff last year, because of the way the transfer portal window worked, which hopefully they fix that with these new changes. We'll see. But their quarterback, Bo Pribula, had to hit the portal, because they knew Drew Aller was coming back, and he knew he wasn't going to be the starter with Aller there. So he transfers, ends up at Missouri, and he's been way better than Aller has this year for the Tigers, and comes in. He's completing 76% of his passes for 1,203 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He can run the ball a little bit too when he gets in trouble, so can make plays with his legs. But their best player is not a draft eligible prospect this year. Another guy they got in the portal, came over from Louisiana Monroe, was the best freshman running back in the country last year, Ahmad Hardy. And this guy, man, is just a yards after contact machine. Great balance. Been amazing so far in 2025, and it might end up being RB1 in the 2027 draft cycle. We'll see how it shakes out. For Alabama, Ty Simpson, their quarterback, continues to make everyone who wrote him off after the Florida State game, including me, just look foolish. Simpson's been great. Does a tremendous job directing that offense. Great job reading defenses. Great job getting the ball to receivers where the ball needs to be. The conversations are changing around Ty Simpson and how he is an NFL draft prospect now, maybe a first-round prospect when it's all said and done. Long time to go. We'll see. The pass rush for the Tide has come into focus a lot recently too. LT Overton, one of top 25 prospect for me off the edge, continues to be great. But now we've seen the draft prospect emergence of Yanze Prince. So he's a name to keep an eye on. Missouri's got a couple of decent tackle prospects as well. So that could be one of the main focuses of the game. Speaking of pass rush, Missouri edge rusher Damon Wilson, tremendous after coming over from Georgia. He's got 3.5 sacks on the year. Big noon kickoff on Fox has Ohio State at Illinois. Illinois rebounded nicely after that shit kicking they took at the hands of Indiana. Luke Altmaier is the one quarterback prospect that I know a lot of people really love, pro scouts included. I'm probably too low on him right now, but in 6 games, Altmaier's thrown 1,573 yards, 12 touchdowns, 0 picks, none. This game is going to be the focus of his NFL draft profile because we talked about him on last week's show. Ohio State's defense is loaded. And if the Illini have any chance in this game, it's because Altmaier was able to move the ball on that defense. Ohio State's going to get another first round wide receiver this year. Cornell Tate is probably going to be that guy. He's averaging 18.1 yards catch this year, killed Minnesota's defense last week. So Cornell Tate going to continue that streak, I believe. And then, of course, it'll get continued next year with Jeremiah Smith. But 2:30 p.m. on CBS, Indiana at Oregon. We've talked about a lot about passers this week. We're not done with that by no means. This is one of 2 big-time quarterback matchups this week that NFL scouts are going to have circled. You got Indiana's Fernando Mendoza. A lot of love now to be the potential number 1 overall pick or first quarterback taken in this draft class. He enters this game 89 for 122, 1208 yards, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's also ran for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. Squaring off against Oregon's Dante Moore, who has really emerged here as a potential top 5 draft pick at the quarterback position should he enter this draft. Has completed 100 of 134 passes for 1,210 yards, 14 touchdowns to 1 interception, and he's got 122 yards on the ground. 2 interior defensive linemen to watch this week if we're not all just watching the quarterbacks in this game. Indiana's Tyreek Tucker, Oregon's Amari Washington, who was number 4 on the Feldman Freak list. Those are 2 big interior defensive line prospects to keep an eye on as well. 2:30 p.m. on ABC is the Red River Rivalry and played in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Oklahoma against Texas. And this game would be, I would think this game would be a lot more to do if we knew that John Mateer was healthy. There is late rumblings today that he might be able to play Saturday. I don't know that he will. Much more likely he comes back next week. But if he can, that changes things. As a matter of fact, the line has shifted. It was a Texas 3.5 point line to start the week, -3.5. It's now Oklahoma -1.5. So some people know something, and I'm guessing is they think Mateer is going to play in this game. This game would also mean a lot more had Texas not pissed down its own leg last week against Florida in the net loss. I can also feel mighty confident that we can officially close the book on Arch Manning as a 2026 NFL prospect. Hell, I'm not even sure at this point we shouldn't just rule him out until the 2028 draft. He's got some major issues to clean up. 6:45 p.m. Saturday night on the SEC Network, South Carolina at LSU. And this is the other big scouting quarterback matchup we spoke of earlier. This game features the Gamecocks heading up over to the real Death Valley to play LSU. This game last year kept South Carolina out of the college football playoff. I'm not going to rehash that or I'm going to get angry. But we do get another head-to-head battle with South Carolina quarterback Lenore Sellers and LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. Nussmeier has not played as well as LSU would have hoped this year. He continues to be plagued by some untimely turnovers. Sellers started slow this season against Virginia Tech and didn't play well against South Carolina State either, for that matter, and got knocked out against Vandy. But the last 2 games against Missouri and against Kentucky, he's played more like himself. They finally got him much more involved in the running game last week against Kentucky. But who Lenore Sellers is as a quarterback prospect, I feel like we're going to have a much clearer picture of this in the next 5 games. And this is why I also think that it's just one of the most ridiculous schedule runs I've ever seen in my life. The next 5 games for South Carolina, and this is their current AP poll rank. They play at number 11 LSU, number 6 Oklahoma at home, number 8 Alabama at home, at number 4 Ole Miss. They get a week off, and then they go to number 5 Texas A&M. This is just dumb. This is how tough his schedule is. But if Sellers can perform well over these next 5 weeks, he's probably the number 1 pick in the draft. Like if he performs out, what we think he can do in these next 5 games, he's golden. So yeah, that's going to wrap up week 7. All right, now time for that Q&A portion of the show where you have to be a member of our Discord to get your question answered. Remember, there's now a nice, handy QR code there in the top left corner of the screen. You can join the Discord that way. You can go to draftcountdown.com, top right corner of the search bar. Click that link there to join the Discord, or you can click the link in the body below there. Join the Discord, go to the podcast section of the Discord and ask a question, and it will get answered to the best of my ability on this show each and every week. All right, let's get. We got 2 questions tonight. One from Bubba. He asked, he now has 0 confidence in the Georgia defense versus good teams anyway, mostly because they lack a pass rush. At the same time, he doesn't see any elite players, day 1 or day 2 picks this year outside of linebacker C.J. Allen. Has anyone on their defense stood out to me? And so I looked at my notes, and he's not wrong. For the first time in a long time, this Georgia defense just doesn't have those surefire NFL dudes on it, right? At first glance, anyway. He mentioned C.J. Allen, who I think is a top 3 linebacker in this class, probably a second-round pick right now, if I had to guess. Their defensive tackle, Kristen Miller, is the only one I think right now who has top 100 cachet. If he comes out, he's only a 3rd-year player, so he may go back to school. Maybe cornerback Dalen Everett, but that is admittedly pushing it. It's a really weird year for Georgia prospects, man. I don't know what's the cause here, but they just, like I said, they just don't seem like they've got those guys up front, and they definitely don't have the pass rushers. Like he said, there's no Michael Williams here. There's no Jared Wilson's. Is that right? The guy that won the first round last year. Name escapes me. Went to Atlanta. All right. Other question. Zach asked, so is it Arch Manning or is it the offensive line that's so bad in Texas? The way the big people were playing, I think there might be a new offensive line coach this summer. And I think you can put part of the blame on Arch, but that offensive line's been rough. And it's definitely weighing in on some of Arch's mechanics. You could see him visibly dropping his eyes on some reps way too soon, even on plays where he's got a clean pocket and the offensive line's holding up. He's dropping his eyes because he's been put on his ass too much. And, well, like I said, he's only had 2 starts coming in this year. His 3rd career start, he gets fed to Ohio State's defense and an NFL defense coordinator, Matt Patricia. And his best game this season is against winless Sam Houston. So it hasn't been good. Like I said, mechanically, he's got some flaws to work out. Brian Lamb had a great article about Arch Manning yesterday over at draftcountdown.com. So I would say go over there, read that, see what Brian had to say about it. But like I said, in our week 7 preview, he's definitely out 2026. At best, he's a 2027 prospect, maybe even 2028 at this point. We'll see. As far as the new offensive line coach, I'm going to tell you there's a current free agent out there that I think is going to command a high price tag. And I assume Texas will be one of several SEC schools lining up with a big stacks of cash outside Sam Pittman's house this offseason. Texas, I feel, will be in on it. Georgia, South Carolina, maybe some others. Sam Pittman's going to get paid, be one of the highest paid offensive line coaches in the country, I imagine. All right, that does it for this week's edition of the Draft Countdown Show. Another great show this week. But we got some fun stuff coming up over the next few weeks, including the return of the Draft Order Top 10. That's right. We're going to start breaking that down next week as a weekly part of the show. We've got our own bye week coming up here, scheduled for the week of Halloween, but we'll give you some more details on that as we get closer, because we got something special planned for that week. So with all that being said, enjoy the games. See you back here next week. Like our videos, share all that good stuff out. Like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, notification bell, all that. Share the videos, like the videos. We love y'all. See you next week.